I want to tell you about Michael. He did things just right. Michael was at his job and he saw a woman down the hall working. He'd never met her before, so they exchanged pleasantries and he found out her name was Amanda. So the following week he peeked into her office and she was working hard at her computer. And he asked if she wanted to go out to lunch with him, and she accepted. So at lunch, he asked her about her interests and found out that they both loved to ski. They talked about their skiing adventures and the different ski lodges each one had visited. So at the end of lunch, Michael said, "I'm so glad we had a chance to share stories about our love of skiing. How about if we go to lunch again on Monday?" Amanda said yes. And this was the beginning of a beautiful relationship. So how do you start a conversation? It's really not hard to take the initiative with conversations. You can be the first one to say hi to your coworkers, for example, or you can strike up a conversation with someone in the elevator. You can talk to people on the bus or the subway. If you're at a party, it's appropriate to walk up to a group of people and then start to talk after a couple minutes. So it's not difficult. The first thing to know, though, is you don't start a conversation with very personal questions. You can start with, "How was your weekend?" Or about an observation that you made, like, "I see you're driving a new car." You can talk about the weather. And the great thing about the weather is you can talk about the weather that's already happened, the weather that's happening, or that's about to happen. Did you hear there's a big storm coming? Another way you can start a conversation is to give someone a compliment. "That's a beautiful dress you're wearing. Where did you buy it?" "I like the make of the car you have. It looks like it's a really good energy saver. How long have you had it?" Now do make sure that when you give compliments, they're honest and that you're sincere in what you're saying. Other appropriate topics are hobbies that one of you may have, your job or the other person's job, and then the kinds of things from the list that I gave you of where to find interesting things to talk about. A movie or a TV show you recently saw, something you read in a book or a magazine, an article you saw in the newspaper, a recent shopping trip or a vacation you took, sports, anything like that are openers for a conversation. How do you carry on a good conversation? First of all, introduce yourself with confidence. Extend your hand and say, "Hi, my name is," whatever your name is. "What's your name?" So you could say, "Hi, my name is Terry. What's your name?" Make sure your handshake is firm and that you grip the other person's hand all the way inside their hand, palm to palm. I've had people shake hands with me and they grab my fingers. Don't do that. It's much better if it's palm to palm. Make sure that your handshake is not so strong you're hurting the other person and not so weak that it's limp. So you want a firm grip that's between strong and weak. Then you can ask questions that are acceptable everywhere. Let's say that you're at a party. How do you know the hostess of the party? You're at a lecture. What did you think about that lecture? You're at a conference. Is this your first conference on this topic? Pretty much everywhere. What kind of work do you do? These are the common questions that people consider normal at the first meeting. And if you discover that you don't know anything about what the other person is talking about, actually you're in luck. And that's because this is the perfect opportunity to ask questions for more information. Now, the next level of conversation is to ask people questions and to share information about their family and their background. Do you have any children? How old are they? What do they like to do? Did you grow up around here? Now, the way you can figure out whether or not the conversation is ready for this more personal information is you start to open up first. And if the other person is open to it and responds to it, then you'll know the conversation can go a little farther with them too. However, if the other person doesn't respond at all, and they actually begin to back away a little bit, they don't open up at all to you, then you know you've gone too far. Don't open up again like that. So over time, after you've had many conversations with a person, you've gotten to know them better. Then it's time to ask even more personal questions, such as about politics or their spiritual beliefs, their relationships, maybe even difficult family situations, personal feelings they have about things. But of course, don't do this at first. You have to get to know someone pretty well in order to ask them about those things. If you do start to talk about those things too early in the conversation, people will feel you're too aggressive. And that's not good. That's not a good way to have a conversation with someone. Of course, there are exceptions. For example, if you're at a political rally, you can talk politics with people who are around you right away. If you're at church, you can talk to people right away about spiritual beliefs. Keep in mind, too, that some conversations skip back and forth. You can talk about the less personal things and the more personal things, and the less personal things and the more personal things. So just keep an eye on the other person to make sure that they're comfortable with whatever is being talked about.